your team are not rolling their eyes and going, yeah, Joel, here he goes again, banging on about the future, then you're not doing it enough. It doesn't matter what the business is. If you look at the best CEOs in the world, a large part of what they do really, really well is they make decisions.
If you don't do the hard now, you're going to do the hard later by team explosions, people leaving regularly, not being able to build a team, overworking.
I think it's 80% of it's the decision to be the absolute best. And I think that the market will always reward quality. It always has, and it will continue to do so. You've got to start off by assuming that everything that goes wrong is your fault.
Welcome to the Salon Owners Collective podcast. And as always, I'm here with my co-host, Joel. Hey, Joel.
Hey.
Joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, we're going to dive in today into the stuff that really nobody wants to talk about, but everybody needs to hear. Putting off the hard stuff might feel super easy for now. Something I talk to my teenagers about just a little bit. But I want to say choose your hard.
Yes.
So let's face the hard. Agreed?
Absolutely.
Staying stuck is the alternative, and that's the fastest way to go nowhere. So today we're going to talk about momentum, how to create it, sustain it, and use it to turn your team, turn your business into a high-performing machine.
I like
good?
that. That sounds really good.
So today we're going to cover role clarity, building trust, how decisive leadership can transform your salon, your business. Plus, we're going to share some simple actions that build culture, improve performance, and ultimately set you free as the salon CEO. So this episode is all about stepping up, owning your leadership, and creating a business that thrives because of you, because you're an inspired leader, not because of you, because you did all of the work yourself on the treadmill and got exhausted and burnt out. It's a good idea?
Sounds so good, Russ.
All right, so let's dive into it. We're going to talk about the 11 Queen moves for 2025. Joel, what about if you lead us through the things? What are the 11 Queen moves? Good idea?
Sounds good. So number one is first up, there's this concept moving into this year, no more head in the sand. Now, you've probably heard that a million times before, but off the back of that is the instruction to confront everything. So number one, no head in the sand, confront everything. And the reason why that's one of the 11 Queen moves is because actually when life, business, work, family, anything gets hard, it's actually really easy now to bury your head in the sand, whether you do that by just completely distracting yourself, jumping online, having a drink, or whatever the case may be. Scrolling, absolutely. Procrastinating, all that. It's so easy to do, and it feels good. And as you talked about in the intro, Russ, if we're choosing the easy stuff up front, the tail end of that is almost always hard emotions, harder work, harder uphill. So we really want to lean into the brutal facts. Like, what are my numbers telling me? We want to confront that. If there's a little bit of a niggle in the team, like I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of salon owners like you have, and the ones that run away from those team issues and let the time ticks on, is like that just turns into something not so great. So no head in the sand, confront everything.
Yeah, so the confronting everything now feels a little bit harder because you've got to confront it, but it's actually saving you from a hard later. So if you don't do the hard now, you're going to do the hard later by team explosions, people leaving regularly, not being able to build a team, overworking, all of those things that actually we might have done in the past, but we don't want to do in 2025.
No head in the sand, confront everything.
Okay, love that. Let's confront the things. So what's number one, Joel?
Number one is no head in the sand, confront everything.
Let's do number two.
Number two, we got our numbers a little bit backwards here, but that's okay. We can work with that. Number two is clear, consistent, sustainable, key word there, like underline sustainable, daily effort in the calendar. And so it's relatively straightforward, but clear, like you need to know what your outputs are. You need to be consistent in that. Like it's not good enough just to have a great Monday and then the wheels fall off the trolley from a productivity point of view for the rest of the week. It needs to be sustainable. So when we talk about this level of output, we're not talking about like running yourself on the treadmill to the point of exhaustion. And it needs to be daily effort, like output. And as we teach and talk about in Salon Mastery, it needs to be in the calendar. And I love the idea that whether you've been employed before yourself or not, when you run your own business, there's this romantic idea that you don't have a boss anymore. So you can do what you want, when you want, whenever you want. And I've just got to say, as someone that looks after those in boardroom over $1 million, like everyone's got a boss. And if you're doing it well, absolutely, your boss is your calendar. So know what you need to do, be really clear about that. Make sure it's in your calendar, and then view your calendar or have the frame around your calendar that calendar is my boss, and my job is to follow the best intentions that were put into that calendar. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I know that, like, when you first hear about this idea, it's like, I got into business because I don't want a boss. I don't want to be constrained. That feels really structured. But like, you get to put what's in the calendar. Then you just have to be accountable to yourself.
Yes.
But it will change your life. And every time that the wheels come unstuck for me, and just because I'm a successful business owner doesn't mean that the wheels don't come off sometimes. It comes off for all of us. But every time the wheels come off, it's because I haven't been true and let my calendar be the boss. I'm the boss of the calendar, and then the calendar is the boss of me.
Absolutely. Now, here's the other thing about putting your best intentions, the really clear, sustainable daily effort into your calendar is what happens is when you follow it, not only do you feel in integrity with yourself, really good move, but you also create something called momentum. And momentum is really important. The best way that I can describe it is if you've got a car that's in momentum, like it's moving, even if it's going in the wrong direction right now, it's really easy to actually shift that momentum. Like
Mm,
you just like turn to the left because you've got momentum, you can actually get back on track easier.
true.
But when you're at a stop and you don't have momentum, doesn't matter how hard you turn the wheel, you ain't going nowhere.
You always have to go uphill first.
Uphill
Yeah,
first,
yeah.
and it takes a lot of effort to get moving. So there's lots of benefits to having clear, consistent, sustainable daily effort in your calendar.
Before we move on to number 3, um, the what we choose is now the next and most important thing, because it actually gives you
Mm,
permission to go narrow the focus and just do that.
yeah,
Anyway, that's another whole like workshop. Let's not do that now.
there's another podcast.
Well, it was number 3.
Number 3 is clarify roles and then delegate like a leader. So I guess there's 2 parts to that. I remember years ago, I worked in Italy. I had a team of 25 staff. So some of you will be able to relate to that, even if you've got, or you had 4 staff and now you're at 8. But when your team gets bigger, you can't do as you used to do. Like what got you here won't get you there. And so I asked my boss at the time, like, what's the most important thing that I can do for my people? And he said, always number one, role clarity. Role clarity is it. Because as soon as you remove confusion from people, they have the opportunity to step into confidence. People won't operate confidently until they're really clear about their roles and about the roles of other people in the business. So number one, and I know this is a work on for a lot of salon owners out there, is get really bloody clear about your role, really clear about your leadership or management team roles. And then from there, everyone else's role, it will start to become really, really evident. And I think that's always something that we need to confront and hold at the front of our how do I run a really good business? Role clarity first and foremost. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, and yeah, I agree with this, because I think as a business owner, we're so inside our goldfish bowl and we can see the things that need to happen. I think when people don't do the things that they should do, it's always us. It's always our
Mm,
problem and our lack of ability to give role clarity, and then just get out of the freaking way and let people do their job, or help them win to do their job. Don't step in and do it. I speak about this because of my own experience. It's really easy just to step in because I can do it fast. I know how to
yeah.
do it, and I can just freaking heck, I can just do it. But actually, choose your hard,
Mm.
easy now, hard later. Role clarity is everything.
Yeah, and if Jemima's really clear about her role, she can actually say, "Actually, Russ, I've got it." And the thing is that once people own their roles, then you'll be more excited about performance reviews and one-on-ones and all of the hard conversations that you're otherwise burying your head in the sand about. The reason why that shit is hard is because the roles aren't clear.
I
And it,
agree.
and it makes delegation so much easier because people are like, hey, that's my landscape, that's my That's my map. That's what I need to do and grow into. So delegation is actually becomes really, really simple.
Okay. Right. Sounds good. What's number 4?
Number 4 is build the trust, build the team, build the dream. So, probably about 15 years ago, what we found out came out of actually a study at Harvard was that the higher the trust in a team, the higher the performance. Like there's really good correlation there. The problem is that we've come from a world where number one, we don't even know how to build trust. And number two, we've been doing it the other way, which is just driving people through metrics all the time, all the time. So you've got to learn to build trust. Like that's not hard. Like get on ChatGPT, do whatever it is that you need to, but learn some skills around building trust in your team. It's an indirect way of building something really, really amazing. And what that will lead to is more connection in your team. You'll have a team, and that will allow you. And I know you speak to this a lot, Riss, is that you need your team. They're the machine that gets you to where you want to go.
I think in 2025, in this kind of, I want to say in modern times, to be cliche, there's a lot of things that erode trust. We text people, we don't talk to them, we don't have the connection like we used to. We're more
Yeah.
isolated. We think we're more connected online, but we're more isolated. And that actually, I think we have to try harder than we used to
Yeah.
in the past to build trust. It has to be quite an intentional thing from the business owner. So I'm with you,
Yeah.
building trust.
So build trust that will build the team and that will give you your best shot, your highest chance possible at building the dream that maybe you once thought about and haven't thought about for a while. If you want to go back to that dream, if you want to make that dream a reality, start with being a leader that mobilizes trust in your team.
Okay, before we go on to number 5, because we've got 11,
We're at 11. We're doing good for time, I
I
reckon.
want to say, hey, maybe we'll pause on the podcast and we'll say, hey, to those guys that are in the profitable and successful Facebook group. Hey, CEOs, thanks for joining us live on the podcast. This will come out about probably in about a month's time. So you're getting a bit of a
You
sneak
heard it
peek.
here first. Jim's here, studio. Liana,
So
Bobby.
I want to know if you're here and you're going to hang about and listen to the podcast. Say hey in the chat. I'm keeping my eyeballs on it as we're going through this 11 Queen moves for 2025. So we're up to number 5. Joel, what's number 5?
Number 5 is really straightforward. It's be decisive. Um, it doesn't matter what the business is. If you look at the best CEOs in the world, a large part of what they do really, really well is they make decisions. And often what we find on the flip side of the coin is that there's a lot of other business owners out there and businesses that aren't doing as well is because they're in conflict with this or that and then they procrastinate and what happens is time takes over and the business doesn't have any momentum. So you need to be making decisions towards the vision or the future that you desire, and that's a really important muscle that, like going to the gym, it gets better the more that you exercise it. So making decisions, I know it seems like really simple, and we probably make like 11,000 decisions a day. I'm talking about like queen moves that actually move your business forward.
Do you know about self-point? What the decision is becomes less important. Just fucking make a decision to make a move, like
Yes.
get started because you can pivot and you can shift along the way and you learn more things. You learn more information as you just start, which
Yes.
help you make a better decision or realize that it was the wrong decision. So sometimes people just don't make a decision, so they don't move forward and they stay stuck. So making a decision, actually at our team event, we came up with a couple of kind of key focuses and words for the year.
Good.
And being decisive was part of
Yes, it
our
was.
acronym.
Yep.
Is
Yep.
it a-
It was an acronym.
Um, badass. And one of those things was decisive. Be decisive, like badass.
Yes.
Can I say B words? Decisive. And that's one of the reasons we want to be decisive is like, we'll make a good decision, like just keep forward, move momentum.
Yeah. So if you have been second guessing yourself or you feel like your confidence is particularly low around decisions, we've just been straight up indecisive because that's plain safe, right? Maybe permission now this year, January, February 2025, just to start to lean a little bit more into that muscle or that just being more just decisive. I think that's going to actually play out really well for you in the long term.
Hey, it's me again. I just wanted to interrupt and jump in here quickly to say thanks for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate you being here. Just one question though. If you are listening to this episode and thinking, oh my God, this is me, but I'm just not sure what to do, well, don't worry. I got some strategies for you. The Salon Mastery Program will help you develop and implement a 100K team, 100K mindset, strategies and steps designed to help you lead your team to enjoy 100K careers and install the 100K mindset and motivation so you can help build that inside of your team. The systems, the processes to master the 100K day so you can build the $1 Million Salon. So I want to invite you to join me for a complimentary $1 Million strategy call. We'll discuss your business, your role in the business. Let's see if I'm the right person to help you grow your business and your team. Together, we can reach the $1 Million mark. All you need to do is click the Apply Now button in the show notes of this very episode. You're welcome to book a time, a strategy call. We'll have a chat. All right, that's enough for me. Let's get back to the episode. Okay, we're up to 6 of 11 key moves for 2025. What's number 6?
Number 6 is assume that everything that goes wrong is your fault. Assume that everything that goes wrong is your fault. I think this is a this is a this is a hard one, right? Like, I think if we grow up through dependency and then we become independent and then we become interdependent, that is working with others. Like, I don't think this fits anywhere. I think it's its own level, but it's just like, if it goes wrong, it's my fault. And what we're really talking about there is your leadership or your expectations or the training that you did or the system that you put into place
Lack of.
or lack of, very good, it wasn't good enough. And I think that's a really good place to arrive at, because on the other side of that, what happens is you engineer mindset and behavior to improve it, to make it better. The opposite of this, of course, is if you just blame other people directly or indirectly. Oh, it was Jemima's fault, or I'll get round to it, or you just have an internal conversation that no one ever hears about.
I don't have time.
I don't have time for it. The downstream effect of that is not good. It's really bad because you end up outsourcing anything better in the future to someone or something else. You're waiting for circumstance or someone else to make your business or your life better, which by default is victimhood, by default. So if you want to own it, if you want to jump in the driver's seat, if you want to create your own economy, if you want to be the flower, not the bee anymore, you've got to start off by assuming that everything that goes wrong is your fault.
So can I share an example? Not last year, but the year before, I employed somebody who just didn't work out. And I might choose to say she was not very good. She oversold herself in the interview. She didn't follow through. She couldn't do the job. And I could easily say she was just a bit shit.
And if you did that, full stop, you're off the hook.
Totally.
You're totally off the hook.
It was her.
Yeah,
She was on the team,
totally
it
her.
worked.
Yeah.
But I was the one that interviewed her. I was the one that employed her. I was the one that inducted her. And I was the one that waited past 3 months before I got rid of her. And that was all me.
That was all you.
Hey.
That was all you.
It wasn't me. It was all me. So even it was all my fault. But it was also my fault that I took action eventually and
Yes.
moved her on to somewhere else where she's much happier. And we're much happier without her. So it can also be their fault, but it's always my fault initially. And I'm in control of what I do, when I do it, how I do it, and the decisions that I make.
I really do believe that in terms of stepping up as a salon CEO and becoming the best version of yourself, number 6, what we're talking about right now, is absolutely like, this is like top of the mountain stuff. Like, just the more that you own it, the more that you'll create the ideal future that you want to dream of.
Yeah, and get used to the fact that, like, I know how to do better. I know how to do better. I know how to do good. But we all make mistakes and not perfect. And I learned some things and I relearned some things that I knew, and I kind of just the learning went deeper.
Yes.
And I'm better for it.
Yes.
All right, so we've assumed everything's our fault. What's number 7, Joel?
Number 7 is review your, we call it 10 out of 10 client experience, and then raise your damn prices. So let me just say that again. Review your 10 out of 10 client experience and then raise your damn prices.
Yeah.
Um, I don't actually think it's that hard to be the best. I think mostly it's a decision. Like, we're here in Kandala and this is our competition and we're going to be the best. I think it's 80% of it's the decision to be the absolute best. And I think that the market will always reward quality.
Mhm.
It always has, and it will continue to do so unless, I don't know. I think it just always will. So I think that's really, really important. The thing about business is we work so hard to get to a point and then we go, okay, it's good enough. And then we forget about it and we focus on other stuff. And I think going back, reviewing how your consultations are going, all of the bits that make up the client experience, doing that will always provide you with insight into how you can do it better. And I think that's a really important part of the CEO role is to review the client experience. And then as you do that, because the market will always reward quality, raise your prices.
Amen.
Why not?
All right. Number 8 of the 11 Queen moves in 2025 was number 8.
This is quite prescriptive. So number 8 is do a 3 to 7 minute leadership with every team member once a fortnight. So first of all, 3 to 7 minutes, that's quite specific. And what on earth is a leadership book? So what often happens in the busyness of running a salon is that everything's quite one directional, like do this, do that, over here, over there, left, right, turn, black, white, everything, right? Every now and then, the owner or the manager and a staff member, if you just walk outside the salon and you walk down to the cafe or walk down to the lamppost and back, what it will do is provide you with an opportunity to do what we talked about before, which is build trust. And now, sometimes there'll be a hard conversation that needs to be had, which is where our leadership walks were born, is that instead of sitting face to face with each other in a cafe, staring at each other's eyes, having a hard conversation,
But intense.
it's a bit intense. Just like, let's go for a walk, and you get in what's called a physical rapport really quick because you're walking at the same pace. So that's one of the things. But also, even if there isn't a hard conversation to be had, what you can do is just check in. How's the kids? What are you up to this year? What are your goals? And that stuff builds trust and really helps your people, these millennials and Gen Zs that you don't understand, to feel seen and heard and understood. So every fortnight, at least, grab one of your staff members and head out for a 3 minute walk and just have a chat.
Especially now, like it's summer. Down here in the Southern Hemisphere, it's summertime. It's a good time to establish a new culture. Maybe different where Monica is. She's in
Yes.
northern Canada and it's -20. Maybe not.
Maybe not there.
Okay, we're at the tail end, guys. We're up to number 9 of 11 Queen moves in 2025. What's number 9?
Yeah, number 9, you could argue that this should be number 1. Number 9 is share your vision for the business every single week. So whether it's through the lens of digital huddles or you're having team meetings or you've just got 15 minutes in the salon to talk to the team at the front end of a training, you want to be sharing and speaking into the better future in all aspects of the business, not all at once. It could be you're going to talk about staff development plans for 2025 this month in January, February. But that's the role of a leader to cast hope that tomorrow can and will be better. Everyone else, including your staff, is thinking about the past and the now and how stressful and difficult it is. Your job is to step through and past that and go, guys, don't worry, this is where we're heading. And if you think about some of the great leaders that you aspire or have been motivated by, isn't it noticeable that they speak a lot about the future that we're stepping into?
I suspect the mistake we make is that we say it once. This is for a lot of things, vision, how we do it around here. I told them once and they just keep not doing the thing. I
Yeah.
think about this with my teenagers.
Yeah.
And so really your message is like keep banging on the drum. Once is not done, keep talking about it, keep it alive, create future.
100%. And I think if you're looking for a metric here, if your team are not rolling their eyes and going, yeah, 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 Joel, here he goes again, banging on about the future, then you're not doing it enough. That's exactly the kind of feedback that you want and need to know that it's clear to them about the vision and about the future and where the business is headed.
All right. Windy gust. Should we close it again too?
I'll do that.
So we are in Wellington. It is super sunny. It's beautiful hot days. We had the window open because it's pretty hot in here. But of course now everything's blowing over because it is gusty vibes. All right, should we go back to the podcast?
We should. So number 9 was share your vision for the business every week. Because by the way, your business doesn't have a voice. That's your job to be the voice for insert your salon's name.
Nice. Stay on the track. Okay, number 10.
Is become the team's CEO, which is an acronym for Chief Encouragement Officer. Uh, I just think it's so bloody important. Like most of the people in your world, let alone your team, are walking around with a predominantly negative mindset and view of themselves. Their self-esteem is low, their confidence is low. And so when the world, aka you, give them negative feedback, they'll get defensive and they'll come up with rationale and reasons as to why they behave the way that they did. And what that does is it keeps us separated as team members, as individuals, and this even pertains to our family, right? The more that you encourage your people, reinforce the positive, accentuate the positive, point out the behavior that is it's exactly what we mean when we say value, vision, how we roll system. The more that you do that, the more that people feel connected, they feel like they belong, and all of a sudden they start to become more
Catch people doing it right.
so good, Risk. Catch people doing it right and call it out. Don't be like a Kiwi or an Aussie and play it small, that whole tall poppy shit. Like that does not work when it comes to leading your people out and being the chief encouragement officer. You have to lead by example and be the loudest and proudest of your people's behavior. So this is not about favoritism of people, but when someone demonstrates the behavior that's in line with the vision of the business, you've got to call it out.
So you said something really interesting to me the other day, Joel, that people are naturally negatively geared do you remember that conversation?
Yes, yeah, we're
Um,
negatively wired to keep ourselves safe. Like we're not designed for growth, we're designed for survival. Which means that a lot of what we talk about today and growing a salon and growing a team, like it's not in line with how our brain typically works. And so we've got to be better than just to go on, status quo and just kind of cruise through. We've got to be quite intentional at what it is we want and therefore how it is that we behave.
yeah, so as a leader, we've got to overcome natural human behavior first before we can even start being a leader of a team.
So if it feels awkward to encourage other people, because I know that's a problem for a lot of people, it's like, well, I never got any positive feedback, so why should I give people positive feedback? I turned out fine. If it feels awkward, you know you're doing it right. Like in this particular
Oh, the
department.
muscle.
Yeah, build the muscle. It's the same as going to the gym, right? You do the first squat or whatever it is, like that felt weird. Good. Do it again. Do it again.
Okay, the last clean news 2025. It's a really important one.
Number 11 is pay yourself 15% more.
Yeah.
Full stop. Chapter close the book. We're done. No, absolutely. We highly believe in knowing your numbers before you spend money. It's a big part of how we coach and mentor salon owners. In fact, we say be decisive, and that's always off the back of knowing those numbers. But you should pay yourself more. And one of the benefits of doing that is because, like we just talked about with negativity biases, we put ourselves last. If there's a profit, I'll pay myself a little bit more. And what that does is it actually engineers average behavior. But in the same way that, let's just say you wanted to get stronger, you could make the commitment to, I'm going to start going to Pilates every week, for example. But for a lot of people, that doesn't work. But if you parted with $2,000 for a 1 year membership at Pilates, all of a sudden you optimize the behavior so that you achieve the goal. And so, in the same vein, if you were to just pay yourself 15% more, you will by default optimize your behavior to make sure that your business produces enough to pay yourself 15% more.
So
50% more.
sounds good to me. But to do that, you do need to know your numbers, and it's almost like upside down um, budget building.
Yes.
So you can do the things to. So how we do it is we have a new break even. Like our break even is actually already the profit goal. So that is like the ground zero for us, because not being profitable is not negotiable. And that changes everything on the way that we budget and the way that we plan and the things that we choose to buy. We look at the numbers always. So if you think, well, how the heck am I going to do that? You need to actually turn your budget sheet upside down and plan the opposite way around. We use the CEO Dash that helps us plan, prioritize, and put profit first. Good book, by the way, Profit First. But I like that you're challenging everybody. We're challenging everybody, aren't we? Pay yourself 50% more this year. What do you need to do to achieve that?
Yeah, awesome.
Actually know what even 50% more is.
Yeah,
Well, how much is that? How much
totally.
is that? And if you know how much that is, how much do you need to increase sales? And then if you have that as a goal, then you just need to go into the answer. How do I get this up that much? Because you're really clear and very specific about what you're trying to achieve. Useful?
So useful. So can I just recap? Just if you're driving in the car, number one was no head in the sand, confront everything. Number two, clear, consistent, sustainable daily effort in the calendar. Number three was clarify the roles in your business and then delegate like a leader. Number four, build the trust, build the team, build the dream. Number five, be decisive. Number six, assume everything that goes wrong is your fault. Number seven, review your 10 out of 10 client experience and then raise your damn prices. Number eight, do a 3 to 7 minute leadership walk with every team member once a fortnight. Number nine, share your vision for the business every week until the point where people roll their eyes. Number 10, become the team's CEO, acronym for Chief Encouragement Officer. And as we just spoke about, number 11, this year, decide to pay yourself 15% more.
Those are some good things to do.
I reckon.
Okay, so if you want help implementing those 15 things, reach out. Maybe Salon Mastery is a good place for us to help you do that. And for those of you who joined us live in the group for all of this, for part of this, did you like coming behind the scenes with us on the podcast? We'd love to know in the comments. Let us know that you've joined us with us live or maybe on the replay. And otherwise, same place, same time next week on the podcast.
See you guys.